sweet guy. And Hoover and Alfie spend all their days when they're not eating and sleeping. The two of them play around. So they're definitely best friends out here. And they just make up a couple of the goats that we have. So in total, we have, as I mentioned, 125 animals. And it's everything from goats to sheep, cows, pigs. We have a llama, a horse. We also have some chickens, ducks, geese, and even some turkeys. So we have lots of things to see. So we're gonna get walking, and we're gonna go meet a couple of our cows. So actually, we have 2 steers and a cow. So a steer is actually a castrated bull. So it's actually a boy cow. So this right here, coming up here, the lighter brown is Argyle. He's enjoying his morning snack alongside Magnolia. So Argyle here, he laid down in a big mud pile earlier. So he's got a muddy leg, but he's just enjoying his morning breakfast here. And he is one of the most gentle cows that we have out here. So he is what's known as a Jersey. And Jerseys are widely considered to be the sweetest, most loving bovine or cows out there. So he actually was rescued from a dairy farm, and he was allowed to come here to Sweet Farm to live out his entire life. So cows and steers will actually live between 20 and 22 years of age. So really, they're in our care for a long time. And Argyle here is only about 2.5 years old. We have many, many years, to spend time with Argyle and really continue to know his personality. So one thing that many people don't know is cows and steers form really so in the afternoons, Argyle will actually run around and play with Magnolia here. So Magnolia is what's known as a dwarf cow. So she only weighs 500 pounds, and she's about half the size that she normally would have been. But when she was young, unfortunately, she didn't get the milk that she needed from her mother, and she ended up having a stunted growth. So as a result, now she's a really small cow, but otherwise she is healthy at this point because of the care that we provided her. So as I mentioned, she weighs 500 pounds, and if that sounds small to you, keep in mind that Argyle over there, he weighs about 1,100 pounds, and he's still not that big a cow either. So Magnolia is definitely one of our, she's kind of like our teenager out here on the farm. So she does enjoy playing a lot. In the afternoon, her and Argyle, they run around like puppies out in the field. So it's for that reason that we actually refer to them as grass puppies, because they just spend their days frolicking in the grass pasture. So really cute, really great to have Magnolia out here. And one of the things that we make sure we do is provide all of these animals individual care. So if any of them ever have a stomach ache or anything like that, we don't take any chances. The same way that you or a family member might go see the doctor if you're not feeling well, we make sure that all of these animals, whether it's a cow or a chicken or a turkey, also goes to see the doctor. So about 2 months ago, Magnolia here had a little stomach ache, so we had to take her to go see the doctor. So that's why you see this shiny side right here. So that is actually where they shaved her side to listen to her stomach and actually take a look inside with some medical equipment. So we give all of these animals top-notch care to make sure that they have the best chance at living long, happy, healthy lives. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the camera around here, and we're going to actually head over, meet a couple of our other goats along the way. and we're going to head in to see a couple of our potbelly pigs. Does anyone have any questions?
So Nate, one of the questions that came through is, can you milk the cows that you have on the farm?
That's a great question. So we do not milk any of the cows, and part of the reason for that is in order for cows to give milk, they have to continually give birth, and so that's actually why Argyle is here, is because he was a boy cow that was born at a dairy farm, and of course, boy cows don't give milk. So as a result, he had nowhere to go. So Sweet Farm stepped in and brought him here so he could live out his life. So we don't breed any animals here. There's so many animals that are in need. So Sweet Farm focuses on helping lots and lots of animals that are coming out of every type of situation. So that's a great question, but no, we don't breed animals. Therefore, we don't get milk from them. So this is Bruno. Bruno actually came from a local farm, and that farm didn't have great situation. There was unfortunately a little bit of rough background, and he grew to not trust humans. So when Bruno came in, we had a lot of patience with him to help him emotionally heal from where he came from before. So it took us over a year to a year and a half for him to even trust humans enough to understand that we're not here to harm or anything like that. We're just here to care for him. What you'll notice about Bruno is he only has one ear, and he actually lost that ear when a dog that was raised for fighting actually got in with him. Of course, that's a bad situation for both Bruno and the dog, and we don't blame the dog. Instead, it was an unfortunate situation that the owner created for that for both of them. So, but at this point, Bruno now lives out his life. He's completely healed, and he also enjoys the company of all of his other goat friends and human friends out here at Sweet Farm. He looks pretty happy. So we're now going to head through. We're going to go see Butterscotch, and as we see Butterscotch, we're also going to see a couple of sheep that are going to be heading down to spend the day with our potbelly pigs.
And Nate, we have a question. Somebody asked, what is a potbelly pig?
Yeah, great question. So potbelly pig is just a different breed. So they tend to be much smaller than a normal pig. And so what you'll see when we go see them is the potbelly pigs. They tend to be about 80 to 100, 120 pounds at this age, though potbelly pigs can grow to be a couple hundred pounds as well. And what you'll notice when we go meet the other pigs a little bit later, you will see the size difference is pretty stark. This is Butterscotch, and he and his brother actually joined us here at Sweet Farm just a few years ago, and they came here because their home the shelter that they lived in actually blew down during a winter storm. So it was at that point that a mountain lion came in, and they weren't safe there anymore. So at that point, the family that had these two reached out to us to see if there's any way that we could provide a safe space for them. So we said, of course, we'd love to help them out. So they joined us here on the farm, and now these two brothers, they actually live out their best life. So at this point, we're going to head through, and we're going to go over to the sheep, and we're going to go meet a couple of them. Show you two very cute lambs and a couple other animals along the way.
So, Nate, we have an interesting question. Allegra on the call today is asking if all the animals go to bed at the same time.
Great question. So they all go to around the same time, and so all of them go in at night. So with the exception of our cows and our large pigs. So here you see Frankie or Franklin, and he actually came out of a wool farm where he was rejected by his mother. So fortunately, someone with a very kind heart actually brought Franklin and Martin. So here's Martin over here to Sweet Farm so we could care for them for the rest of their life. So when they came in, they were being bottle fed, and they actually were just recovering from some health issues, but now they are completely healthy and enjoying life. So every single night, these two, along with all the goats and the other sheep, they do go in at night to make sure that they stay safe from any potential predators. That's a great question. So what we're doing is we're going to go walk over to see Mike and Sully, the two pot-bellied pigs. As we do, I just want to point out that barn that you see there, that barn is about 160 years old. So it's been around for a long time, and it's seen some of the earliest people to live in California a long time ago. And then in the 1930s, this was actually a vegetable farm. So there is a famous photo of that barn as well that's in Washington, D.C., and you can actually download that photo for free on the internet. So if you ask your parents to search Dorothea Lange, Half Moon Bay, you'll find a photo of that barn online. So this
Nate, we have Fabian asking, does a potbelly make a good pet?
Does a potbelly make a good pet? Well, one thing about pigs is for them to be happy and healthy, they really need a lot of land. So it really depends on whether or not you have a lot of space for them. So what you see out here, you see all this space here. This is just for Mike and Sully and two little sheep. Each day, they share a lot of space. And that's really, really important to making sure that they stay happy and healthy. And part of that is because they like to do what's called rooting through the ground. And that's where they dig in the ground with their snouts and find all sorts of tasty morsels. So it's really important that if someone is considering a pig, to rescue a pig, as a pet, that they make sure that they have everything that they need to properly care for them, because they do require a lot of space. So that's one aspect. But if we talk about just how smart pigs are, for instance, pigs are as smart as a 3 to 4 year old human. So the biggest difference, of course, is we don't understand how to communicate with them. But you can imagine all the things that they would tell us if they could speak to us. So very, very smart animals. They're even considered smarter than your dog or your cat. So really amazing, amazing animals. And Mike and Sully, so here we'll show you Mike. So Mike and Sully actually came to us from a hoarding situation. So someone had raised a ton of animals on not enough land. So exactly that point, which is it's not healthy or fair to the animals to have too many animals on too small a piece of land. So we got a call about a farm that had over 300 animals on a very small piece of land. And Mike and Sully were two of them. So we actually worked with local authorities to bring them here. So really happy to have them here. They're now living their best life. It looks like a pretty good home for Mike and Sully, if I do say so myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to head on up. We're going to go meet Paco the llama. And as we do, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So, Farminate, are there any predators near the farm?
That's a great question. Yeah, so there are different kinds of predators here. There's land-based predators and there's air-based predators. And we do a lot of things to protect against both. So the land-based predators are things like foxes, bobcats, coyotes, even mountain lions. And what we do is we make sure that all of the animals go in at night. And like I said, the only animals that stay out are very large animals that those predators stay away from. So the land-based predators we haven't had any problems with in many years because of these kind of precautions that we put in place. So we take a lot of care to make sure that those aren't an issue. Then for the air-based predators, those are things like hawks or vultures, and they only would bother the chickens. So what we do for the chickens is that we provide them plenty of space for them to run under things. So we're going to be heading through to see our chicken coops at the last part of the tour, and at that point you'll be able to see that the chicken coops are actually up off the ground, and it's because of that design that the chickens are actually protected from those air-based predators. That's a fantastic question. Thank you. All right. So we're coming up on Paco the llama and Gizmo the steer. So Gizmo, you might be able to see him starting to come up here, this dark brown handsome fella. So a family actually raised him as part of a project, and similar to Alfie, they fell in love with him. They realized what a sweet animal he is, how intelligent he actually is, and they said there's no way that we can sell Gizmo. We have to provide a safe place for him to live out his entire life. So he joined us here. You can see just how big he is. Now, one thing about Gizmo is he is actually considered a miniature steer, so a miniature Hereford steer, and yet he is our largest cow that we have. So he actually weighs 1,200 pounds, and so he's a big guy. And in the afternoons when he plays with Argyle and Maggie, you do not want to get in the middle of them because it is a lot of animal jumping around playing. So he loves it here at Sweet Farm. He's been here for about 4.5 years, and he is definitely one of the nicest guys on the farm. You can see how much he loves head scratches. Aw, hey buddy. All right, we'll go see Paco the llama really quickly, and then we'll go meet a couple of chickens. So one of the things that's very unique to Sweet Farm is that we are what's known as a sanctuary. So a sanctuary is a place that it's much different than a petting zoo. In a petting zoo, the animals are forced to interact with people if whether or not they want to. So in the same way that you might want your space, and sometimes you want your space, and that's totally fine. Sometimes animals want their space, and that's also totally fine. So all of the animals out here, you've probably noticed, they have a lot of space to roam around. And that's because our job out here at Sweet Farm is simply to provide them a safe, healthy place to live. And they're not here to entertain or anything like that. They've already come out of bad situations. So whereas a petting zoo, oftentimes they're in a small space and they are forced to interact with people. So some of our animals have come out of those situations and now they just want their space. And that's totally fine. But Paco here, he didn't come from one of those situations. He actually came from a horse farm, and the farmer reached out because there were some predators there, and they needed a safe space for Paco to live. So he came and joined us here on the farm. And Paco is what's known as a llama, which is part of the camelid family. So if you think he looks like a camel, that's because he is related to a camel. So he is definitely one of our smartest animals out here on the farm. He keeps an eye on everything out here. So if there's ever a predator that were to come on the farm, or if anything is out of order, what happens is Paco will raise his head way up high and start letting out a chirping noise that's very distinctive. And it's when he does that that we know that something is out of place and we need to check on it. So we really appreciate. You see he's concentrating on something, so I'll show you. So he's concentrating on the tractor that's driving way over there. We're emptying some manure from the stalls out into the compost bin. So Paco's over here looking at it, saying, "What's going on?" So that's just an example of how much that Paco is kind of the manager of the farm, if you will. We really appreciate his help out here.
So, Farmer Nate, we're almost coming to the top of the hour where our keynote will be starting soon. So we'll go ahead and take a couple of questions. One of them is, do you have any animal escape artists?
Animal escape artists. Well, Marty and Frankie, the two little lambs that you met earlier, they actually enjoy escaping out into our parking area, and that's actually but they don't tend to run away. They just like to get out into a fresh space. So they might get out into this area here, and then once they're there, they look at us and they say, "Ha! We made it! We made it to the other side of the fence." And then we invite them to come back in, and they say, "Okay, that's we actually enjoy it better on the inside of that fence." So we haven't really had any true escape artists, if you will. The chickens, for instance, we're in this chicken area. They do tend to go over these fences, but these fences aren't intended to, keep them 100% in this area. It's more of just a recommendation. So I'd say, the chickens also can be sort of escape artists, but they always come back because they love it here.
Great. And we have one more question. Lauren is asking, what does Paco eat?
Great question. So Paco eats a combination of hay, which has all sorts of protein and nutrients in it, and then he also eats some specific feed that's very specific to llamas, and that's to make sure he gets all of his nutrients that he needs to be a healthy llama. So not everything that is growing in the ground it doesn't necessarily satisfy all of his health needs. So it's important that we supplement that additional feed with his vitamins and minerals. So it's a combination of things. But I will tell you, his favorite treat in the whole wide world are carrots. So he eats carrots left and right. It's a great question. All right, so these chickens here, we have 75 chickens on about 10,000 square feet. So if you imagine when you stand up tall and you look down, you occupy about 1 square foot. We have 75 chickens that share about 10,000 of you standing up straight and tall. So it's important that they have plenty of space, to spread out, spread their wings, and maintain a healthy healthy balance of adequate space and roosting and access to feed, water, and also friends out here. So again, we make sure to be good stewards of not just the animals, but also the land out here. And that's part of why Sweet Farm, has all this land for all of these animals. So you can see some of our friends that we've met earlier in the call, and they're all enjoying their breakfast out here and enjoying the day at Sweet Farm. So what I'm going to do, because I know we're coming to the end, is I'm going to turn the camera around.
I think we're having a quick connection issue with Nate. But if not, guys, this puts up at the top of the hour anyways, where I ask you to please join our keynote happening at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. I just wanted to quickly say thank you so much for having us join your call today. And you are also helping to bring the same experience to students and families all over the world as well, just by having us join your call. So check us out at sweetfarm.org. And we hope you all have an amazing day, and hope you enjoyed the tour of Sweet Farm out here. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your day at VForm Online. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.